MOZA's first ever wheelbases, the R16 and R21, have been around for a few years now, meaning it's time for a good overhaul. The R21 Ultra and R25 Ultra look to completely replace the oldest MOZA wheelbases, and the specs they are introducing look set to challenge some of the most premium direct drive wheelbases currently available. These two new MOZA Racing wheelbases introduce zero cogging technology, a completely new direct drive motor, and an aluminium casing with RGB lighting. These are some pretty big swings at other sim racing giants such as Acertech, Fanatec and Simucube, but do they land? Well, in this review I'm putting the new generation of MOZA wheelbases to the test to find out the answer to that question. Now let's kick things off with an overview of what these two new MOZA wheelbases are offering. Both the R21 and R25 Ultra are complete redesigns compared to the older wheels that they're replacing. Everything inside is entirely new, as is the exterior design. With these wheels, MOZA has really upped their game. Up until now, the Chinese brand has focused on dominating the budget and mid-range sim racing market, with the premium wheelbase sector kind of forgotten about. This is exactly where these two new wheels slot into. To start, these wheelbases offer a huge improvement in tech. The internal motor is completely new, and this is at the heart of the new wheel. The flat wire motor offers zero cogging, which basically means the motor shaft is incredibly smooth to rotate. Older wheelbases from MOZA and other brands tend to jump around a little bit, meaning it could actually feel like the wheel was turning in, say, 5-degree intervals. These new Ultra wheelbases are designed to remove that sensation, resulting in a much smoother experience as well as vastly improved accuracy. Much like competitors such as Fanatec, MOZA are now boasting 21 or 25 Nm of sustained torque output, meaning less degradation during race sessions. There's also a 21-bit magnetic encoder, and like pretty much all new MOZA wheels, the R21 and R25 Ultra boast a new force feedback algorithm. All of these tech improvements, paired with the new CNC machined aluminium casing and those snazzy RGB lights that look to have been ripped right out of an Acertech wheel, marks one of the biggest product updates in a while. Now, do all of these improvements come at a cost? Well, yeah, but compared to the two wheelbases they're actually replacing, MOZA has gone pretty ultra competitive. The R21 Ultra costs $699, while the R25 Ultra will set you back $899. This is pretty crazy when you think that the much older R21 wheelbase that was launched in 2021 cost $849 right up until it was discontinued. That means that to replace it like for like with the new R21 Ultra, you're actually saving yourself $150. And to upgrade to the R25 Ultra, it'll only cost you an additional $50 compared to the old R21. In a world where a 15 Nm Fanatec wheel will set you back over $1,170 and a class-leading Simucube 2 Pro costs near on $1,500, MOZA are really hitting hard on the competitive pricing front, with both of these wheels costing under $900. Is this swing a big reality check for other sim racing brands? And does this pricing make the new Ultra wheelbases the best value for premium direct drive sim racing? Well, let's jump into the unboxing and find out. If you've ever had MOZA hardware, opening the box, things are pretty standard. Inside, you'll find a nice selection of stickers and the usual paper manual. Packaged snugly inside the foam cutouts are the power brick and the USB data cable, and there are also a selection of mounting hardware. Then you finally get to the main attraction, the wheelbase. And like all MOZA products, the base comes in a nice bag to protect it from dust. Once the wheelbase has been unsheathed from its bag, the new design language is instantly apparent. While I use the phrase new design language, there are actually a lot of similarities to older MOZA wheels and its competitors. Those grooves running down each side and across the top are kind of evolutions of those found on the current crop of smaller wheelbases such as the R12. You then have the haunches that are found in each corner of the wheelbase. Now to me, these look almost reminiscent of the flares found on the Club Sport DD bases from Fanatec. In fact, as a whole, if you removed the branding on the front and the side, this whole wheel does actually look like it could be a Fanatec product. I'm not going to say that this is where MOZA drew inspiration, but some of the similarities are pretty striking. The build quality is pretty much excellent all around with the CNC machined aluminium housing. This has its practical uses by ensuring the wheel remains rigid given the high torque demands. It also helps that when you're spending this much money on a wheel, it does have that premium finish to kind of qualify your buying decision. Finally, a big new addition to the design comes in the form of the two LED light strips across the top corners. These are new to MOZA, although not to direct drive wheelbases, as Acertech really pioneered these a few years ago, followed by Thrustmaster and SimMagic. While the RGB lighting is fairly novel and not something I prioritise when choosing a wheelbase, this implementation is certainly better than recent attempts by other brands. Both Thrustmaster and SimMagic almost hide their lighting behind the steering wheel, while MOZA and Acertech before them display it proudly across the top and the sides. MOZA has enabled these lights to also function as live telemetry, allowing you to configure them to flash during certain moments on track. This could be to flash blue when you've got the pit limiter on, or flash a different colour when you activate your TC or your ABS in a game where you're driving a GT car. Now, a wheelbase does sit at the heart of most sim racing setups, meaning you'll often use it as a base to build off of. Opting for a MOZA wheelbase could mean you're more likely to purchase a MOZA shifter or pedal set, and if this is your chosen route, then MOZA has you covered with a ton of connectivity ports. The rear of the base features ports for your pedals, dash, shifters and other accessories such as the e-stop. This makes it ideal for cleaning up your cabling and minimizing the number of connections running to your PC. In effect, it kind of acts as its own USB hub. At the front of the base, the quick release hasn't changed too much. It features a lot of the same characteristics as previous generation QRs, allowing for wireless connectivity and power to all current MOZA steering wheels. Now, I'm not going to talk about this too much as I've mentioned it in pretty much every MOZA review, but the all-round mechanism and ease of use is fantastic as always. Other nice quality of life features include the multiple array of mounting options available. With previous generations of MOZA wheels, you've kind of been limited to front or bottom mounting. The new R21 and R25 Ultra has both of these options like normal, but it also introduces side mounting. This is a really nice option, and as you can see, I do like to opt for side or front mounting where possible. However, this is where I encountered my first sticking point with this wheel. While having these side mounts is good, they will almost certainly require dedicated MOZA brackets to function. I've got both a SimLab and a Next Level Racing rig, both with side and front mounting capability. However, natively, neither of these rigs would actually fit the front or side mounting profile of my R21 Ultra. The best I could do is absolutely force the Next Level Racing side mounts into the pre-drilled MOZA mounting holes. It turns out the pre-drilled holes are about 5mm too close together to naturally fit my Next Level Racing mounting bracket. Having used a lot of force to make these brackets fit, I was still left with a small gap either side of the base. And while it is secure and hasn't pinged off or snapped anything during my month of testing this thing, it's certainly less than ideal and is a little bit sketchy. Now, I have got this thing mounted to my rig, just about. It's time to run through how it performs on track. I've got both the R21 and R25 Ultra, which output at 21 Nm of peak torque and 25 Nm of peak torque respectively. While not at the crazy levels of the older Simucube 2 Ultimate or the Acertech Invicta, things here are more than strong enough. Now, during my first session on track, I could have eased in my rather sketchy side mounting, but instead I opted to go balls to the wall and jump into ACC with the 21 Nm of peak torque maxed out. Thankfully, my mounting solution held, and I was able to experience all of the hype right away. I do want to start by giving MOZA props where they're due. This is one incredibly smooth wheel to sim race with. MOZA are boasting about their new zero cogging technology, and this can certainly be felt during racing, or rather, that cogging and modularity can't be felt, which is actually a good thing. As you throw your car through corners, as I'm doing here in ACC, you can feel the weight build in the wheel as the car's weight balance shifts. Thanks to the 21 Nm of peak torque that I'm running, you do still get a lot of strength and feedback, especially when you hit a curb. Depending on where you set your max strength setting at, this can be pretty jarring, especially if you run the base at its full torque potential. A curb strike can echo through your sim rig, vibrating right through the chassis and the seat. More subtle rumbles and track details also have this same effect and almost feel like an underlying haptic motor module that's positioned around your cockpit. This goes a really long way to pushing the feeling of immersion, as well as the feedback you're feeling from your car. Now, the responsiveness with this new generation of wheelbase is also really impressive. With the R25 Ultra, you do get exclusive access to real-time torque sensing, which promises a response frequency of up to 2 kHz. One thing I did notice, or I'd say I didn't notice during racing, was that there is very little noise, like literally zero noise coming from this wheelbase. You don't get any noise from the rotation of the steering wheel at all, and if you mute your game or take off your headphones, you can barely hear the internal motor as the force feedback cranks up. And it's only ever really noticeable in the sound of the vibrations you get from curbs and other rumbles. Heat buildup is also really well managed. Across a couple of hours of continuous racing, the outer casing felt slightly warm at best. MOZA has integrated a very good thermal management system that monitors and regulates heat in real time, and this comes to fruition across longer race sessions. When it comes to adjusting how the wheel feels, you get a huge amount of customization within MOZA's Pithouse software. This free app allows you to change almost any part of your wheel and has always been one of the more in-depth sim racing softwares around, for better and worse. This means you do get a lot of granular control over various aspects of your wheel, from the overall strength to damping both in general and at different speeds, as well as various filters. And for those that love to tinker, this level of adjustability is great. However, for sim racers who would much rather spend time on track than in the wheel's settings menu, a lot of these sliders can be a bit overwhelming. Thankfully, MOZA has updated Pithouse over the years, and it now includes a preset manager that lets you load a variety of official presets created for specific games. And this can take away a lot of that need to really spend hours setting up your wheel, because they've kind of already done it for you. I'm not going to take away from all of these options that MOZA give you. However, my experience with Pithouse over the years is it does make me wish some of the options were explained or laid out a little bit clearer. And that brings me on to my final thoughts on this new generation of MOZA direct drive wheelbase. And this is actually a pretty big moment in sim racing, with popular brands such as Fanatec raising their wheelbase prices and therefore increasing that threshold for a sim racer to be able to afford a really premium wheel. MOZA has done an excellent job of lowering that bar right back down. Having a 25 Nm direct drive wheel available for under $1,000 from such a prominent brand within sim racing is pretty huge. MOZA went hard after the budget and mid-range market, and are now doing the same in the premium space. The much improved exterior design, high build quality, and great performance allows the R21 and R25 Ultra wheels to truly belong in the conversation when it comes to discussing premium wheels. There is still a little bit of refinement that really needs to happen before these wheels can take on the kings of premium sim racing, Simucube. However, these two wheelbases deliver on their promise of really feeling next generation, thanks to a host of performance improvements. If you're considering upgrading to a higher powered direct drive wheel, both the R21 and R25 Ultra are incredibly good options to have.